Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. I am JB, and here I am with the king of Scooby-Doo physical media, Mark Marsh.
Hey everybody.
So today we're going to be discussing Scooby-Doo crossovers and potentials for them. So we've got a lot of Scooby-Doo crossovers recently with the Guess Who series that's just come out on DVD for season two. With Courage the Cowardly Dog coming out a couple of years ago, maybe even last year. I'm too old. I've lost count. And Crypto 2 that was leaked and is potentially coming out later. So lots and lots of crossovers. And so I saw something posted on Reddit. Someone asked what Scooby-Doo crossovers you want to see. So I jotted down some of the most popular answers, and hopefully we can go through some of them today. But before we get bias in there, before we get into the list, Mark, are there any franchises that you would like to propose Scooby-Doo crossovers for, and what those episodes or movies would look like?
I actually do. So I want to see Scooby Doo crossover with the Fast and Furious movies.
Ah,
Both families collide.
you know what though?
That could still work. Let's see if Fred's van can beat Dominic Toretto around the track.
I will admit, I didn't see one single Fast and Furious movie until the last 2, 3 weeks or so. In that case, because Millie wanted to go and see Fast X, and I was like, okay, yeah, we'll go. But she was like, no, well, I'll show you the other movies beforehand. So I've been watching like every night a Fast and Furious movie. So far, I'm on, gosh, which is the one? There's Jason Statham and a baby and a submarine. I think that's
Oh,
eight,
that's eight.
nine, eight,
Yeah,
nine.
it's number eight because I watched it yesterday. And number nine is uh it's Dom's brother. It gets
Yeah, so
introduced.
mm. So I'm decently familiar with them now, and I'm just thinking that would actually be really cool because you could literally have the mystery machine in all of these different action
Yeah,
scenes.
and it would work in the Scooby-Doo universe, so it would make sense. Because all they got to do is like reanimate like the Fast and Furious cast in the Scooby-Doo universe. Because let's be face it, they pretty much done crossover with a bunch of loads of people by now,
I
so
mean, I
it's
always think if they can do
possible.
WWE, they can
Yeah,
cross over with
yeah,
anyone.
yeah.
Like
They could
if we
do
could
it.
have John Cena swooping in and like, but see, I was gonna ask that if you'd want it to be live action Scooby in Fast and Furious or animated Fast and Furious, and I think animated Fast and Furious would definitely be the way to
I
go.
I think so as well because live action would be a lot of explosions and like gunfire and that, whereas animated they can play with the cartoon laws, as I love to call it, where like anything's possible. I feel like Who Framed Roger Rabbit is a good example of when you're in Toonland, anything's possible, but in the real world, if you could break your leg, you break your leg.
I'm thinking because there's funny characters that could happen. Like I always think as like the definitive crossover being, Scooby Natural, and there you could have Castiel goofing off with Shaggy and Scooby, and there's some funny characters like that. Roman's meant to be like the comic relief for Fast. You could team him up in some instances with Shaggy and Scooby. Like they'll have like a maybe a racing thing at the
Roman's
start.
character makes that
Mm.
movie. I pretty much mostly watch it just to see his reactions every single time
Because he always has like the
because he's
funniest
he's always
one-liners.
screaming at everything. But it's like since they introduced him in like Too Fast, Too Furious, I feel like since then it's like I'm glad they brought him back because he plays it so well
Mm.
and like makes it because I'm like that's the person I want to see like in every single one, and I'm glad they haven't killed him off. There've been times when I thought they killed him off, but he just comes out on scale. He's been untouched.
Yeah, it's I kind of feel like there's like a general golden rule that you can't kill off the comedic relief because then it
Yeah,
just gets a little bit too dark. And I was thinking, I really wanted it to be called The Fast and the Furious, but then they already did that for Tom and Jerry, so they've kind of already like stolen it. So with what you said, you could imagine Do Fast, Do Furious. That could
yeah.
be something. I mean, titling alone, I do think it is a crossover that would work and could work. I guess the question is, in what form would it be? Like, would you want that to be an episode of a TV show, or would you want it to be like a DTV that comes out?
I would rather it be a movie, so direct to video that comes out. Just for an hour and a half now, they can make something work. Because the whole meme now of Fast and Furious is family. I've seen all the like the Toretto's in the car and that saving people. My favorite one is probably the Lion King one where Mufasa's about to be thrown off the ledge and it's like Dominic Toretto like not today, and it's just, they're all in the car, family. I'm just they're like, I swear the memes like they get better and better.
But it has just become such a good meme point at this point, all the family stuff. And even like everyone's like commenting on trailers now. Like my favorite part of even if it's something like Guardians 3, my favorite part is when Dominic Toretto appears,
Yeah,
in a spaceship and says, "We can't lose, we have family." It's all that type of stuff that's going on.
it's like Supernatural when they did the race between Dean and
Mm.
Fred, and then Fred obviously won, and he started questioning it. That could be like the crossover of Fast and Furious, where Dom doesn't understand how that car's catching up to him.
See, they could even reference Scooby Natural because does Dom not have the same car as Dean Winchester, isn't it? Like an
Yeah,
Impala as well.
yeah,
So it could literally, you could have like little compilations on YouTube after just like the Mystery Machine piecing up
because
iconic
they brought back
Impalas.
Supernatural as Winchesters, and Dean's character came back for that, and I just thought like he doesn't, he still looks like he's aged well in the point where if they ever brought back Supernatural, like for a movie finale or something, he could still come back as his character because he doesn't look like he's aged at all. He's aged good. So
I was thinking the same with Vin
they could
Diesel,
still do
really.
a
Like Vin
yeah.
Diesel looks
He's
quite similar.
the only thing is like Vin Diesel's voice has got a more deeper,
Yeah, at the start it
but
was like, "Hey man," now it's like, "I am
it's
Groot." It's
it's
like,
weird. Yeah, it's so weird that he voices Groot. That's all he says. He gets paid millions. I am Groot.
"I am
I'm just
Groot."
like, imagine that everyone who's been a voice actor puts in so much time, like perfecting their character, and then they're like, "Wait, how much do you get paid? What are your lines? I am Groot."
I mean, the residuals though now, even and he got his own spin-off on Disney Plus. He just be sat there making loads of money, but you respect it,
I,
and
I, I want to know how that conversation came up. Like, how did they get him to be a voice actor? Because like he's probably a legend in my book for actually doing it. He must have thought I'd do it for a joke and laugh and that because I didn't know it was him until like the second movie. I'm like, oh god, it's just Tim said, "I am Groot." It's like that's all he says. Anyone could do it, but they got him. It's like,
I'm wondering though, like you say, it's a surprise that he could be a voice actor because I know that a lot of people kind of view voice acting as lesser than on-screen acting. I mean, even Matthew Lillard, I think there's like an infamous funny interview where just as Scooby-Doo 1 was coming out, he got asked in an interview if he would ever do the animated Shaggy, and he was like, "Oh yeah, if my career ever got that bad, I'd do the animated Shaggy." And I think he regretted that in hindsight. But I do think for Hollywood actors, it's a little bit of a stigmatism now. Not so much I'm going to be the voice of someone in a big Marvel MCU movie, but do you reckon someone like Vin Diesel and what other names you've got in there? I mean, maybe The Rock, I mean, Jason
yeah.
Statham. Do you reckon they would do 2D animation, DTV?
Well, The Rock
Not
has.
too sure. Really?
The Rock has done animation. Where he's in Moana,
Yeah. I guess though that's quite
but
big,
he's
cinematic.
replacing his role for the live action. So when they do the live action, he's actually doing his main character.
Oh, yeah, because I saw that announcement. He was like, on the beach, wasn't he? He was just there
Yeah,
like, on holiday,
I'm
like,
just like
"Hey,
that's gonna
we're
be good
doing
because
it again."
I still love the whole boulder scene when he just closes the boulder and then traps him in the cave. I'm thinking for the boat, I'm thinking it's pretty much left her to die.
I do think it's possible. Definitely possible.
He
Maybe.
could do it.
I'd like that to happen. Now
He's
I
50
guess.
now, 51.
Well, Vindy, The Rock.
The Rock, yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I know he doesn't. I mean, he's just looked the same throughout. But saying that, he
He
looked
still
different early on. Fast
he
and
eats
Furious.
a lot of calories, but his training regimen is so different to how normal people train. But it works for his physique, I suppose. so it's quicker to get
Yeah,
the
because he doesn't
abs
want to be
shown.
trimmed, does he? He wants
Yeah,
to keep his shoulder length and keep his
yeah.
buff. Like, so he
So
doesn't want to. He's not on a
people
weight
will,
loss thing.
yeah,
He's
because
on
people
bodybuilding thing.
question why he doesn't do full rep motions, but it's like,
I don't know
for
why I did that.
it's like it's like when he comes down, he doesn't come all the way down like most people do. He comes down like halfway, then back up. But it's just keeping his physique in shape because that what breaks in the money. It's like each bit that he does is like caters to a certain body part. It's like everyone's built differently. It's like when you know you have a physique and works well, you don't really want to ruin and change the physique because then you might not get this role, you might not get that role. And okay, yeah, you got the name brand behind it, but most people want you because you're that size built.
That's a good question because, or a good point because he's literally used to his WWE training, really. And you
Yeah,
got John Cena, who was in that same path, who then, all that WWE wrestler turned actor, and he did the Scooby-Doo movie. So it is possible. I mean, who else could you get though that's WWE turned? Oh, has Dave Bautista ever been in
Dave.
Fast and Furious? You could get him.
Um, I don't think he's been in Fast
I didn't
and
realize that. So the
Furious. No.
Guardians of the Galaxy has two WWE
Yeah,
turned. I'd never noticed that actually until now. Like I knew it, I just didn't. It didn't click in my head.
I think Batista's a really good actor.
And then James Gunn's working with John Cena on Peacemaker now, is it?
Yeah, season two.
So James Gunn just must love his WWE people.
Because John Cena's pretty much like worked at his like he's never forgotten WWE, but his training regimen is like he is strong.
Hmm.
Like you think Brock Lesnar is strong, but John Cena's like strong, strong. Like he can lift people up like triple his body weight. He lifted up the Big Show, which people thought he couldn't do. But when you look at his workout videos, he squats. He puts in the actual work to maintain it. But he's like a really nice guy. And people will say like the fact that he's not a parent himself because I know he said in the video he just doesn't want to be a parent, but it's like it's one of the people that like would because he gives so much to like Make a Wish kids and all that.
They do that.
So he's like a really nice guy down there, but it's like it's crazy how strong he is. But
Must
he's
be like gentle giants almost, I guess. I
yeah,
mean,
because
obviously they've got to do
he's
the
younger
fighting for
than The
show, but
Rock, so he's still
ultimately,
got many movies ahead of him to do. Whereas The Rock's like in his 50s now, so he's getting to the point where with actors like when Arnold Schwarzenegger retired, he was that like in his 50s when he started going to retirement. So did Sylvester Stallone. Like, okay, yeah, he appears in the Rockies, but he's not the main movie guy anymore. But they all retire when they're close to 50. So I'd say The Rock is pretty much passing point. I feel like if he gets to 60 and he's still doing it, it's like you're not going to get any of these good roles. You're going to be more of a wisdom character.
yeah. Which I
Whereas
don't know
John
how
Cena
happy he'd
still
be with
has the
that.
young physique, so he can still play these badass characters.
I think it's longevity that he has more than anything. And there's always a meme where it says like The Rock and there's like a screenshot of him in like a jungle and it says, "Can you believe that these are all from different movies?" And I don't know if people get tired of that, but I like it a lot. And I do think a Fast and Furious Scooby-Doo crossover could work. And I'm into it, I'm really into it. I'm gonna be watching Hobbs and Shaw tonight, Fast 9 tomorrow, and then at some point Fast X in the
Hobbs
cinema.
and
So
Shaw, I
yeah.
that is it's probably the best pair for the franchise. Like them two, I love that movie so
See,
much
it's weird. That's the first one I saw, and so
because
that's what I was looking forward to. And so when Jason
those
Statham
two
and
are
The
just
Rock were like
both
bantering
good
in the last one,
actors.
I was like,
Yeah,
yes, this must have been really popular. That's why they made a spin-off. Like, I was just
yeah.
excited.
And with obviously Fast X in that, it's a three-parter. So there's going to be like two more parts. I think they said like Fast X Part 2 comes in 2025, and then 2 more years after that would be the third part. But then I think there's like spin off shows as well in between that. So I think there is like a Hobbs and Shaw 2 movie,
Obviously, I'd like that because
all
they had
leading
like
up to
a
the second and third part. But it's like, I think I understand what they want to do with Fast X. So
mm,
between Fast X ending till part 2, the movies that be released in between then will show the aftermath that weren't shown on screens during other actors in part one.
Because I know there was like a post-credit scene for Hobbs and Shaw, wasn't it? When
Yeah,
the people that made Black Superman, they were like talking somewhere. So that will probably be the sequel. But I'm looking forward to it. We just got to fit a Scooby-Doo DTV in there somewhere, and hopefully that works
because
out.
I, I
So
I was looking at the Scooby Doo thing as well when it comes to the movies and that. I still can't believe that we haven't got a direct video Scooby for this year. We haven't, because the Velma was a big flop, and we traded we had no direct to video movies this year so
that's
far.
why I think
Nothing.
someone at Warner Brothers should just subscribe to this channel
I'm just
just to
like,
hear this and get some ideas going.
we're in June tomorrow, so we're pretty much halfway
Wait,
point of
tomorrow.
the
Oh my
year.
gosh, don't say that because now like this video is going to be so badly dated because I'm sure this one's not scheduled to go out until like the end of July. So it's like, oh my gosh,
Because
exposed.
what was it? Trick or Treat
That was
Scooby Doo
October.
was the
Was that
last direct to
September?
video
Or was
one.
it October?
That was
I think it was
October
October.
last
Yeah.
year. And what was it? We had Velma for this year. And I love how they want to do a second season, even though it's like the worst rating ever for it. They're like, oh yeah, it got done so bad, we lost loads of money, but let's put more money in and do a season two. Because I really think season two will win people over. Like 98% of your audience didn't like it.
You know, I think would do pretty well though. This next one, and that is Scooby Doo and the Ghostbusters. Now, I've got a question. How familiar are you with the Ghostbusters franchise, if at all? And I'm talking any iterations of the
So
animated, live action, literally any.
I've never seen the animated TV series of the Ghostbusters, the original OG one. I've only seen the Bill Murray's Ghostbusters 1 and 2. I have seen Ghostbusters 3, but then got changed to Ghostbusters. Um we had the whole female
Oh yeah,
cast.
yeah.
So
Oh,
those are the
2016, I think.
yeah, those are the only three that I've seen. I haven't seen the recent Ghostbusters film yet because I'm waiting to get that on Blu-ray. Is it released on Blu-ray now?
I
Is
think it
that
should be because I saw it. I got it on DVD. They were doing like a thing at HMV where if you get the
and
DVD,
I'm
you get
also
like a mug
familiar with all the
reduced.
games as well. So I played all the NES games and the
Oh my gosh, I love the
PS3
games.
ones.
But I'm thinking, how would they do a Ghostbusters and Scooby-Doo crossover? Because we don't have Harold Ramis anymore, who played Egon, but
Oh, I
we've got
know.
Ray, we've got Bill Murray's character, Winston, we've got,
Is
and so I'm
Winston still
thinking,
alive?
oh yeah, Winston. Winston was in, well, I don't want to spoil it, but I mean, here's the thing, Winston's aged really well. Like, I think they couldn't do a live action one probably, like in
Not a
terms of
live
all of
action one,
them.
but they could
They
do
could
an
voice the
animated one.
characters.
Yeah, because I think that would work as a crossover, the Ghostbusters one, because it's not impossible. We've seen Ghosts before in Scooby Doo with the 13 Ghosts of Scooby Doo. Scooby Doo meets the Boo Brothers. So there's like a way around it. Let's just say, for argument's sake, we do the storyline. The Ghostbusters are in town hunting a supposed ghost, and the Mystery Inc. gang tag along to solve it with Velma questioning there's no such thing as ghosts, and they end up finding two ghosts colliding with each other: the costume ghost and the real life ghost. So Bill Murray and his bandits are chasing the
Oh.
costume ghost, and then the Mystery Inc. gang are chasing the real Spectre ghost. And it's not until they finally cross paths that they got the wrong culprit mixed up. They
Here's
could do
what I'm
something like that.
wondering. With the crossovers, they seem to disregard all of their rules about supernatural stuff. So we weren't allowed supernatural stuff for the Curse of the 13th Ghost. Yet somehow, for Courage the Cowardly Dog, we can have all of the gang turning into 8-bit stuff.
Yeah.
We could have them turning into fish, which is like, well, why? But then I'm thinking, if it was a crossover, I don't know how the community would react to it, but could we almost use a Ghostbusters crossover to poo all over Curse of the 13th Ghost and have the Ghostbusters hunting for the real 13th Ghost?
Yeah.
That could be something.
Calling in the proper Ghostbusters.
Oh, I'd love that,
Because they
because
could do
we
the
could.
whole interaction.
Oh,
It's just like saying, with like Bill Murray's character saying, "You meddling kids, if you left it to the pros, then
yeah,
none
the
of this would have
pros.
happened."
See, that could be. Could you? Oh, see,
While he's
we've
also flirting
spoken
with
about
Daphne or Velma, because you never know
Fred in
with
the Mystery
character.
Machine racing the Impalas. Imagine the Mystery Machine racing the Ecto One. I think that would just be so cool.
and I love the Ghostbusters vehicle,
Mm.
especially my favorite in Ghostbusters 2 when they go into business, plays that entire music montage of just them rallying up.
You're like something strange going on, something's wrong. Oh,
It's
and the
it's so
sirens
good
just no, I can't do it. I want to watch them again now. And
because they did that on a budget, like a
oh,
really tight budget, the first movie, but it played out so well. Like people didn't really like the second one that much, but I really
I thought it
enjoyed the
was
second one
alright.
because I
It
think the
was good.
slime was a good touch. The games were great, but I feel like the Japanese Ghostbuster games were better than the region like North America and Europe ones because we had like it's like side scrolling game version bit, but like the Japanese like NES and Super Nintendo Ghostbuster games were just more. It's weird how to describe it. They were more tuned, so it's like
Yeah.
you can play
Well,
it
I guess
and actually get through
polished
the
really,
level.
because it was
Yeah,
all because I remember they had one on the Wii that I played, but I didn't really like it that much. But then they remastered it on the Switch, and I was addicted to it. But there was one level I couldn't get through. But there was also one on the DS. But I played it at such a young age that the main thing I just like to do is there was like a mode where you could drive the Ecto-1 through New York, and like occasionally ghosts would appear, and you'd use the stylus to like blast at
yeah.
them. And so my whole time I was literally just instead of going to missions, just driving around New York blasting ghosts. It was weird, but I feel like they could do that. I just wish they should make it. All they need to do for a Ghostbusters Scooby-Doo crossover is just let them have it be supernatural. But I do like what you said about we give Velma that bit of satisfaction, like it was a fake ghost all the time, and the Ghostbusters could be like, yeah, and they just
All right,
leave,
then
and
if
this
that's a
thing is
fake
there like
ghost, then what's
screaming.
that? And then it's like an actual ghost there.
Velma meeting Slimer would be the funniest thing. Imagine that. Like, there's got to be a logical explanation for this, and Slimer just like blows chugs all over her or something. I don't
And
know,
then she's
just
on the
some
floor saying, "I've
bizarre
been
scene.
slimed." Yeah, been there, done that.
Slime. It's a river of slime. But I like that idea. There's another one as well, which I fell in love with, but I'm not sure if this will be a bit too edgy. But a Scooby-Doo and Scream crossover.
Well, they done it. They done something to that level with Supernatural, so maybe they can do a kind of like a screen bit. Like I feel like if they kept the vibe of how Supernatural crossover went and done that on HBO as episodes, people would enjoy that way much more than what Velma was
Agreed, yeah.
intended to be. But they missed a golden opportunity. Supernatural show you how to do a HBO Scooby Doo episode where you can still have the morals of the gang, but still keep it, adult content with the gore. I think that's what it comes down to. So for doing a screen crossover, if they did it in the same direction as Supernatural, it could be a big success. But if you're doing it in the eyes of Velma with a stupid copycat killer, that doesn't actually make sense.
My
And you
issue
question,
is
I swear the motives change every single episode of the serial killer. It's like, have you not? I swear when they do the person who done that, she doesn't know the whole idea of a serial killer. Serial killers do not change their pattern no matter what. If
no,
it's
they've got
killed
like a
one
what do
way,
you call it? A modus operandi.
yeah, it's like each victim is killed the exact same way. There's no change in the patterns, not by a slightest. If it is, it's a copycat. Is that's it? Okay, yeah. Serial killers may be boring, like people when you see them in movies and that. Okay, yeah, all right. Then it's the same pattern. We need to change it for the audience. You can't really say it's a serial killer. Then it's like a poultry of killers. No, that's it. If a serial killer is killing a person one way, and if the victims are all similar, then you got a serial killer.
My issue is like, would it be too much? Because we've had, like you say, Scooby Natural, but that
Because
was
if he was
evil
just killing people
ghost.
randomly, it'd be
I
called a
don't know
mass
about a
murderer.
person doing it. Yeah, you'd just be like a psycho or something.
Yeah. So you'd be like a murderer. You wouldn't be a serial killer because serial killers have a kind of like a way with the body, like how they kill them is art form to them.
I'd love it to
So
be like an Elseworld thing though, where instead of the Scooby-Doo meeting people from Scream, like Sydney Prescott, whatever, you could have it like Scooby Natural where they go into the events of the first movie.
yeah,
Just because I think it would be hilarious to have Matthew Lillard meeting his character from Scream, like just those two talking, he could reprise his role and then do like just imagining him flipping back and forward between characters. I
If
just think
it
that would be
it would
iconic.
work really well.
I would love it. I don't have any like massive plot details, but like just the idea of them going into the first Scream and just Lillard versus Lillard would be like such a cool Spider-Verse type moment.
I think they should do something like that. Like even if they didn't do it in the Screamverse, they could still the idea of the Scream character. Like see a whole new HBO Scooby-Doo take where everything's like real, killers are real. Because you gotta understand, like if you try to do what the gang do in real life, let's say you are skulking out in an abandoned asylum where mentally ill patients were trying to fetch a ghost, you're going to find either a drug dealer with a knife or some sort of like sketchy person there with a
Mm.
gun. So I feel like making it realistic as possible with the gore would be a good sense. So they could do one episode, they're trying to face down a mass killer who kills people in a screen mask. Episode two is where, you know, someone being butchered or something like that. So they can do all these real crimes and they can solve real murders rather than solving mysteries or people trying to claim on the inheritance of a building that they want to be burnt down, which is that something that is most of the time. It's like at the end of each Scooby-Doo, it's like, oh, they're either stealing artwork to make money or they're trying to burn down the park for the insurance money. That's all their motives are,
I
really.
mean,
They
I
don't.
know Scream fans would be annoyed at the idea of watering down the idea of the killing, but I don't even feel like it needs to do that. Like, I don't know if you've seen Death in Paradise, but that's a whole show about murders. But every time there's like a funny theme song, it's all positive because they're in the Caribbean. It could literally
Yeah,
be like that. But I don't know. I mean, we might even need to do a part two on this video because there's just so many that I want to
so there's a
dive
lot of
into.
crossovers, especially if you go in a horror element.
In fact, we
Because
may do a
I
part
feel like
two.
Scooby Doo, if they kept it dark tone and kept it in the same style and format as Supernatural, it would probably be a major success on HBO to the point where fans would love to see a return
Mm.
because that's what people want. When we saw the crossover, everyone wants that to be released on a standalone DVD because it's perfect. It's what most of the older generation wanted from Scooby Doo back in the day when Scooby Doo had that dark tone to a certain degree, and it's mostly the soundtrack as well that built up. That's why I love the the classic Scooby Doo episodes where they had the laugh track, the the soundtracks that they did because they did it catering. So when you walked into an environment, you felt the intensity of that moment. Like something's about to happen, something to go down. It's creepy. And the Space Kook episode is probably my favorite one of that because that has all of that in there
Mm.
with the crazy laugh. Like that used to terrify me as a kid. And I love the episode to this day. Or the Backstage Rage. Again, another fantastic, creepy, especially when you look at it as a kid's perspective with the soundtrack. It's very creepy. Now they try and like polish it up there, but you can still be to a whole new level. Like I've seen the Backstage Rage fan um, film by Jordan Farrell. Like that, I love because it captured the old episode, but also made a whole movie element out of it where there was a real killer, and it's just like there's like three killers, three like it's like a cult sort of basically. At the end of it, it's like you think one person killer, but it's not. It's someone pulling the strings of that one, and then that's actually the main villain. So I say the creepier tones and the elements they use makes it much more better. And if they did that rather than the Velma show and went in that direction, it would have been better. Instead of catering to an agenda and trying to force what you want on a film, you're actually just using the name to push your agenda and not actually cater to what the audience wants. So I feel like Velma flopped for all the wrong reasons because you cared more about yourself and what you want to push on others rather than there's a character, let's make her what people want and work with it. But no, you didn't. It's why I
That's the
sat.
key for all these more adult takes, and there's actually a few, like a surprising few, that would potentially arise from this list. And I think what I want to do, because there's four that I've got listed down, I'm gonna read out the four. We can choose one to wrap up today with, and then maybe do a part two with the others, and maybe one or two extras at a later date. So
Yeah.
I'll go through this list. We have Five Nights at Freddy's, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Ben 10, Doctor Who. Which one shall we do today?
Oh, mate, when you said Ben 10 and Doctor Who, it's like, okay, Five Other Freddy's. Buffy the Vampire. I would say Doctor Who. Because that's with time and everything. You can literally just see the Doctor go through different time periods in the Scooby-Doo history and meet the gang from the Where Are You period, or the
Oh,
What's the Scooby-Doo period, or the
oh, see,
Puppet
how cool
Scooby-Doo
would that
one.
be? Like, and every time they time travel,
Yeah,
the art style could change.
art style could change. It's like a whole new, like endless possibilities.
Imagine, yes, and now I'm just thinking, imagine the time travel Mystery Incorporated, like, if they did that right and they got the composers for all of these eras to do the scores for that individual section, like, could you imagine bringing back the composers for
Yeah,
Mystery Incorporated and doing
because
more of those? And oh,
literally seeing Velma's reaction when she sees the blue box and then she enters inside and she questions how is it
yeah,
bigger on
she
the
would be the one
inside,
to say it's
she would
bigger.
freak out. She would like everyone always goes, it's big on the inside. It's just like she'd be like, no, it's not possible. So they could do a whole breakdown moment of Velma trying to,
Yeah, she would be like in
yeah,
another, literally, no pun intended, another planet, like trying to rationalize all of that. You think they could have like classic Scooby as well, but in a different setting, like Scooby-Doo trying to solve a Victorian London crime. Like there could be even an infamous crime that was solved in a mysterious way in history at some
they can
point,
literally call it
and
Scooby-Doo
retcon
in
it as the
space and
Scooby
time.
Gang.
They can literally call it Scooby-Doo in space and time with the TARDIS in the background. It's like Cyber Chase, where I still say to this day, Cyber Chase should have been 10 episodes or something like that, rather than a movie because too much was going on when they get into the game levels. They
Yeah,
could have
and a
done
lot of
an
cool levels were
episode,
just like
yeah,
montaged.
went brushed over them. And when you look at the concept art and the notes behind it, there was meant to be more to those episodes, but due to time and that, they cut it down. And I was like, if you'd done an episode, we could have done an episode for nearly each game level, and that would have been more better
Mm.
than a movie. And I feel like they could do the same with the crossover with the Scooby Doo with meets Doctor Who. It's literally just like endless fun. Really, they can just go wherever they want, any time period, any movie era, and just like break the fourth wall, and just the possibilities are endless. Like the Scooby Doo gang are needed to help save time and space, and teaming up with the Doctor who's disappeared. So they end up having to use the TARDIS, piloted by Velma, Daphne, Shaggy, and Scooby to try and save the Doctor from either Dalek or Cybermen, or also trying to save the mystery of the universe or something like that. So they can do that in itself.
Yeah, Doctor Who and Scooby, and I like. Yeah, I should have worn the T-shirt. I like that for a title. Literally, like Scooby Who. That would be the best
Yeah,
name. Oh man,
because
and
the Doctor can
Scooby and
regenerate, so
K9,
it's endless Doctors, really.
Scooby and K9 could team up, and I'd like it to be David Tennant really, because
Same.
he's the current, but also I think he's a name that will bring people
I
in.
love how they brought him back to Doctor Who. I feel like they brought him back to save it because when they changed directors into this new approach, every episode which I saw was mostly on about real life issues like pollution and all that.
Yeah,
Like I don't really want
pollution.
that in a Doctor Who episode
That one about what
because they
was it?
fixed,
Kablam.
yeah, or oh, this is what happened to the Earth when you treat it right and everyone's gone mutants. Like again, that wouldn't happen. You're trying to force people to realize about global warming. It's like you really know nothing about it because you're flying around a private jet, so you're a hypocrite. It's like, oh, if you fly on a plane, you're actually killing the ozone there. Okay, how did you get here? Private jet. Why don't you sail? Use wind speed.
Yeah, or
Oh, you don't want
swim
to
or
do that
something
because it's
like.
more dangerous. Yeah, yeah. You know, hoist sails, travel around the world, old school wind sails. Yeah, okay, it may take you longer to get here, but hey, you save the energy, you save the planet, but you won't do that. I
It
would
was
love to
the
do that.
writer.
I would love to go on an old style ship and just use wind and sail around. That'd be like probably the best way to travel.
Right, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah,
I've done a few sailors in my day. Never like a massive, massive one. But I'd love to do that. If I ever get to the age of retirement, I'm just gonna buy a boat and just live off my
yeah. It's
days like Captain JayBee, just
it's just
doing my
probably the
thing.
best way to travel is just on a boat.
But I like that. I guess that kind of wraps things up. I'd love a Doctor Who, Scooby-Doo crossover, but I'm gonna open this up to the audience. If we are gonna do a part two of this, which I guess we will,
But we
what
have to
comment
about the
down
other
below
ones.
what crossovers you want to see happen with Scooby-Doo because there's just an infinite and infinite supply of what we could do.